Howdy everyone! Today I'm going to continue with the theme of customary units of measurement. We're going to look at customary units of liquid volume, gallons, quarts, pints, and cups. We use these measurements when we are cooking and baking, and you'll also probably recognize gallons specifically because milk is often measured in gallons, which we buy from the store. A handy manipulative tool at home for you to visualize these conversions would be a measuring cup. If you have one, it tells you, it goes all the way down to ounces, which is the smallest unit of measurement of liquid volume, which is a little confusing because we also use ounces in customary units of weight. And it tells you, for example, that 2 cups is a half a quart. So you could use this, and I would suggest you do some baking and practice with your customary units of measurement to better understand them. We're going to do some practice today with moving back and forth and converting between different customary units of liquid volume, including looking at the fractional relationships of those units using some models. Let's go ahead and get started with some review. In our last video on customary units of length, we looked at some strategies for converting to a smaller unit and to a larger unit. So recall that if we're converting from a larger to a smaller unit, we're going to multiply because we need more of those smaller units. And if we are moving from a smaller unit to a larger unit, we're going to divide because we need less of those smaller units. Let's do a little bit of quick practice review. So if we're moving from to a smaller unit from a larger unit, for example, 15 quarts, we know that there are 4 cups in 1 quart. So we are going to multiply 15 times 4, and that will give us 60. So there are 60 cups in 15 quarts. Quite the opposite if we're trying to get from a smaller unit to a larger unit. We need less of those units, so we divide. Again, there are 4 cups in 1 quart, so we're going to divide 20 by 4, and that will tell us that there are 5 quarts in 20 cups. All right, let's move on to something a little bit new. Let's use fractions to compare units. This first example problem, what fraction of 1 gallon is 3 quarts? When I first saw this problem, my brain did kind of a little shrug until I started visualizing it as a model, and then it made a lot more sense to me. So I'm going to show you how to use a model to answer this question. What fraction of 1 gallon is 3 quarts? Well, we know that 1 gallon, and this whole circle is my gallon, is made up of 4 quarts. So I'm going to split my model into 4 pieces, and each of these pieces is 1 quart. So if there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon, and I'm looking at 3 quarts, then I can shade in just 3 of those 4 quarts in a whole gallon, and that shows me that 3 out of 4 quarts is 3/4. So 3 quarts is 3/4 of a gallon. Let's do the same thing down here. What fraction of 1 gallon is 3 pints? Well, let's draw 1 whole gallon as a bigger circle because I'm splitting it up into smaller pieces. And I'll look at my conversion table, which tells me, the conversion table is on page 275 of your workbook, that there are 8 pints in 1 gallon. So I'll split my 1 gallon model into 8 pieces. I'll start with 4ths, and then I'll split those in half, and I have 8ths. And if each of these 8ths is 1 pint, and I only have 3 pints in my question, what fraction of 1 gallon is 3 pints? I have 1, 2, 3 out of 8 pints. So that tells me that 3 pints is 3/8 of a gallon. And that's how we can continue to use multiplication and division to move amongst customary units of liquid volume, and how we can use models to visualize the fractional relationships amongst these units.